Welcome back to Overtime Fantasy, where we go beyond the whistle to bring you home a fantasy championship. I'm Mike Kinder, and I'm here with the always faithful Tyler Jeffries.
What's good, guy?
What's up? And we got a couple people missing, but we have a fill-in. We have a returning guest, a returning special guest, and Danny Clark. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic.
Well, let's say I was doing great until last night.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and touch on that. So Danny Clark in my league, this is in my league, has one of the most dominant teams I've seen. He just seemed to hit the jackpot in the draft and then hit another jackpot in a trade and with one of the guys. I've never seen a trade work out in somebody's favor so much in my life. So go ahead and explain that trade.
Well, the trade was a gentleman had Ty Gurley.
What week was it? It was like week 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was early in the season, week 3 or 4. I had Carlos Hyde, Kareem Hunt, and Will Fuller. Will Fuller had just come back, so it must have been week 4.
Okay.
And he had a big game when he came back, and he was hurting on wide receiver, and he really wanted Will Fuller. And he was sending me all these trades about Will Fuller, but nothing that I really wanted. And then he needed a running back because all he had was Ty Gurley. So I made the trade. I said I offered him Kareem Hunt and Carlos Hyde and Will Fuller for Ty Gurley and 2 other people, which I just dumped.
Quincy Enunwa and Naheem Hines.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember that.
Okay, it wasn't Naheem. Yeah, you're right.
So at the time, it seemed like a pretty okay trade. He was getting a receiver that could have been very good, but got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting a running back that could have been dominant, but ended up kicking women.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was also getting another running back that was doing very good. He was scoring like a touchdown a game and getting like at least 70 yards a game in Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, I think he had just came off that one game where he scored a lot of points. I want to say he was in the 20s, almost 30 points that one game.
So it wasn't necessarily an easy trade for you to make, but you ended up making it, and it ended up paying dividend. Because, like, in that league, you have...
Well, I also made a trade early in that week 1 in that league.
Oh, jeez.
Remember week 1, I made the trade for Keenan Allen.
Yes.
I traded T.Y. Hilton and Tyler Eifert for Keenan Allen and what's the guy, the tight end for Baltimore? Really, their first round draft pick. It doesn't even play anymore.
Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst.
Yeah.
And I made that trade because a guy wanted Tyler Eifert, which he did good until he got hurt for him.
Yeah.
So I made that trade, and it was really like a 1-for-1. I mean, T.Y. and Keenan Allen are close, but, I covered Keenan Allen more. And you know that. I always try to get Keenan on every draft we have.
Yeah.
And so I made that trading. So I have Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill, Phillip Rivers, my starting quarterback, Ty Gurley. I had James Conner.
Oh, yeah.
I picked him off of waivers before we even started playing.
Yeah,
before week 1.
And the worst part about that was you told me you were going to do it. And
I gave everybody an hour. I gave everybody at the shop, everybody I knew. I said, "Look, I'm getting." I especially gave Kevin because he had Le'Veon Bell. I said, "Kevin, I'm giving you an hour." An hour came by. He didn't get him. I picked him up. So I was pretty stout. I'm pretty stout tight end. I had Jimmy Graham. He's not doing so well, so I ditched him. He's in the bench, but. And then I have Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good handcuff on your part there. So you have a pretty dominant team in Phillip Rivers, Todd Gurley. Who was your backup? Who's your number 2 running back?
My number 2 running back
James
is
Conner.
James Conner and Dalvin
James
Cook.
Conner, and then Dalvin Cook, and then Keenan Allen and Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Has a dominant team, and then comes out week 15. He clearly had the bye. Comes out week 15, Thursday night game, and gets 4 points between 2 of the top wide receivers.
Yes, 4 points.
Oh, that is why fantasy football sucks sometimes.
If you had kept Kareem Hunt, you would have had 0 points there too. So, I mean, I heard you get a kicking bonus with him.
But here's the thing though. I'm playing against Phil, and Phil's my arch nemesis in this league right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, other than your dad, which we only played once. I played Phil twice, and we split. And I hear Phil on here all the time, and honestly, he's been my arch nemesis in this league. And because I actually beat Kinder in both leagues this year.
Did you get me in?
Yeah, I beat you to go on my streak.
Yeah, that's right. Because I had a bunch of buys that week in Kevin's league.
So
and you were like, "I'm going to get you," and I was like, "I got buys." You're like, "I don't want to hear the excuses."
Yeah. So he's been my arch nemesis, and funny to talk about it now. What actually happened, what I thought was going to happen, actually pretty much happened. Because I told Kinder, I'm playing Kinder in our other league, which is my big money league, not Kinder's big money league, but my big money league. And I said, I'm going to whip your tail. And Kinder's number 1 in that league. And he's like, no, you got more of a shot against Phil than you do me. I said, no, I'm going to probably get beat by Phil, but I'm going to beat you. And actually, the way I worked things out last night, I didn't have a bad night as I thought I did.
Yeah. He called me this morning and said, I concede. I'm done. Because he had Phillip Rivers in my league. He had in that league, in Kevin's league, he had Phillip Rivers. He has Travis Kelce and Justin Jackson play last night. And Phillip Rivers had an okay game. He almost hit his projections. Travis Kelce didn't really come close.
He was 5 below his projection.
5 below, and I think Justin Jackson was like 4 over or something like that.
4
So,
over.
like, you were right there. Your projections almost got hit last night. So, it's still anyone's game in that one, but I think Phil's going to get you, man.
It just depends. Like I said, we talked about it this morning, and no matter which way I pray it goes, it's going to hurt me in one league.
Yeah.
Because Phil's got Big Ben in that league. So I actually picked up Vance McDonald in that league to try to, hopefully I'll get some of those points from him. Because, I mean, come on, let's be honest, Jimmy Graham hasn't really done nothing.
Yeah.
And then in Kevin's league, I got Juju. So I need Juju to get all those points.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to just do a bunch of end-arounds for like 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, and everything will be great.
Yeah.
I do like Juju. I've been big on Juju since the season, before the season started.
Juju,
we know.
Juju is the reason why. Honestly, I'm going to tell you this. Juju is probably the reason why I went on that streak. Because you look at his games, he's been beating his projections every week. In some games, he's been giving me 22 points. I mean, he's been doing real good. And in that league, also, I picked up Chris Carson off of waivers.
Yeah.
And he's been doing good. So, I mean, it's...
Yeah.
But speaking of like last night's games, and like a notable injury that we had was Keenan Allen, and it's going to be very big to see what's happening like as the weeks progress, because I mean he did get hurt. They have 10 days to rest him, so we'll see what they do. But I mean that could be a nagging injury that could affect him for the rest of the season.
But Tyler, it doesn't matter. Let's be honest. I said before the podcast, one thing that got me upset was reading, the reports about him, and the guy said, "Oh, he has 10 days to recover." Well, if you have Keenan Allen score 0 points in the playoffs, there's no recovery. You're losing and you're out, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and not necessarily. Anything can happen because it happens all the time in fantasy football. But you're not feeling comfortable right now if you have Keenan Allen put up a goose egg, and you're definitely not feeling comfortable if your season's been relying on the number 1 wide receiver and he only puts up 4. Mm-hmm. So you get 4 points between 2 of your top receivers. That's painful. Anything could happen though. I mean, I've seen quarterbacks go out there and put up almost 70 points, and so you could get lucky and pull something out.
Hopefully the people listen to us to when the whole Kareem Hunt incident happened, that long podcast that seemed like we talk about him forever, and they picked up Damian Williams when we said Spencer Ware.
Yeah.
We said pick up both. Damian Williams, I mean, he looks like he's going to be the guy because, I mean, you can't take him out with Spencer Ware. I mean, even when he's hurt, I mean, you can't take this guy out.
Yeah.
He put up 26 points last night for fantasy teams.
Yeah. Damian Williams had a heck of a game, and he ran so hard. He's a lot faster than what I remember when he was in there in
he
Miami.
Lost weight.
Yeah. Like, he's a nice running back. He's somebody you definitely want on your team. So anything else from last night? Travis Kelce kind of underperformed. Even Patrick Mahomes, who ended up putting up like I think 24 points in our league, underperformed. Like that's not his normal 40 points that he puts up.
That's like, oh my bad. I was going to say that's like when a quarterback scores 15 points. Any other quarterback.
Yeah, right. And it's a bit of a letdown. Like I know the guy that has him in my main league. Was talking about how he doesn't feel comfortable now that because he's been kind of riding Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, well, most teams that do have him have been riding him. Just think about that. Some guys have picked him up late and had good teams, and there's going to be some leagues where they have that. But a lot of leagues I play in, guys that don't have very good teams and girls because there's a girl in Kevin's league that has them.
Yeah,
is their team is not very good. They've been completely relying on him.
Yeah. So that's something that hopefully it works out for everybody. You know, nobody saw that coming. You know, even if you did, like, it's still a rarity because I think that's the lowest amount of points that Patrick Mahomes has put up. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that I know that it's one of the lowest, if it's not the lowest. He's had dominant games week in and week out, and then to come out in week 15. And a lot of people that had him probably had the bye because you got a star quarterback in the 16th round, you know, so. But, you know, let's get on to what are we going to do today. We're going to do some starts and sits and get out of here, right?
Oh, definitely. Starts and sits, man.
All right.
So, fumble on the play. So let's get these starts going. Let's start at quarterback. You know, Dan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll take it. My start is Josh Allen. I think he's playing against a defense where they get all the pressure on the edge, and all his big runs have been right up the middle, and it fits his style and the way he plays. And I was big on him coming out the draft. You know, I told Kinder, I was like, y'all need to get the running back and whoever you want and go back and get Josh Allen because he fits the AFC North's form of quarterback. And if he can stay healthy and they can do it better with the offensive line, he's got an arm. He's not like some other quarterbacks that all they can do is run and can't throw the ball 20 yards. Yeah. He's got a cannon, and I think it's gonna show.
So, in your opinion, does he hit another? Now, I know 3 weeks ago he only had 99 yards, but I'm going to count that as 100. Does he hit 100 yards rushing?
Oh, definitely. I think he's going to.
Okay, all right. And so within the past 3 weeks, if I can remember correctly, Josh Allen has had, 335 yards rushing or 325. I can't remember exactly, but and 2 touchdowns on the ground, not to mention what he has in the air. Like, he's getting big points for fantasy owners just by running the ball. So I like what he does. I like him as a start this week as well. All right, so who I have, my start this week is Jared Goff. And the reason why I put Jared Goff in there is because of what he did last week. I think that was a fluke against a very good defense. You know, that defense has shut down quarterbacks, but I think if they played again today, Jared Goff would have a much better game. But, you know, I think this week, I think he turns it around. I think the Rams wake up a little bit. You know, they need that, you know, home field advantage and all that. So I think they wake up, and I think they have a good game this week. I think Jared Goff leads the way on that one.
Yeah, especially against the Eagles secondary with how depleted they are. So I do like that a lot. My start's going to be Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's been averaging 250 yards here lately and at least a touchdown.
Yeah.
And he's playing against Denver. Denver's defense, I mean, hasn't lived up to the potential or the hype that it had very early on in the season. I think Baker's going to have a big game. I think you'll see him throw for about 275 and 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, that could definitely happen. You know, he's a pretty good game manager, man. Like, he kind of goes out there and takes the lead and does a pretty good job with it. He's been looking good here the last few weeks.
He's the quarterback the Browns needed because he plays with so much confidence, and you have to have that kind of confidence to play for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and then, like, a lot of the players, you see, like, the interviews that a lot of the players have, they all say the same thing about him. Like, he's the same in the huddle. He's the same on the sidelines. He's the same in practice. Like, that's the guy that he is. Like, he's that type of guy where he's just confident and he knows what he's doing. He's the first in the locker room, the last one to leave, those type of things. So I think he's a hard worker, and I think he's very talented and has the know-how to win.
I mean, how can you not start a guy that walked a tiger?
Yeah, but you know what the funny thing is about Baker Mayfield. Me and Kinder we're watching the draft, and we were texting back and forth and calling, and I was like, I can't believe they took him.
Yeah.
You know, I really couldn't, but that's why I guess GMs get paid the big bucks to do their jobs.
That's right.
We wouldn't have took him.
Nah, yeah, I wouldn't have taken him, and I would have been looking. I'd have been looking real dumb right now.
I immediately called Kinder, and I was like, "Look, that's not a bad pick for y'all."
Yeah.
And I said, "You don't want Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's a guy that, you know, he's had quarterback coaches, and you know, he's not had to put up with scrutiny like you're going to do in Cleveland." Baker's been dealing with that like his whole quarterback career.
Oh, yeah, he had to walk on and do all those things. That makes a lot of sense. And don't get me wrong, he's a good pick. He's a good player.
Yeah.
I just didn't think number one overall.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the pick.
I thought
I would
the
have took the
same
running
thing.
back, and it worked out for him because Chubbs is doing great. So I mean,
Yep.
it worked out for him. They did a good draft when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and Tyler's not blowing smoke. He literally before the draft and after the draft, like he was all over Baker, and I was like, Tyler, you're an idiot. Like I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like Baker is not the answer
Well,
here.
we thought it was a Johnny Manziel retread.
I thought
you know?
that's exactly what I thought it was, and that's like I didn't doubt his talent at all. I just thought he was going to have off the field issues, and he has not. He's been great. So, I'm wrong. I was wrong about Baker Mayfield. I said it, multiple times in this podcast. I was wrong about the man. He's a good guy, and he seems to be doing the right thing. So I like it.
So to wrap up our starts, we have Baker Mayfield. Dan, you said Josh Allen, and Mike, you said Jared Goff. That's solid 3 right there.
Yeah.
Definitely solid 3. So on to these sits at quarterback. I'll go ahead and start this off because it's I'm gonna say this name and a lot of people are gonna be like, what are you talking about? And that sit's gonna be Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is playing against Chicago at Chicago.
Yeah.
And not to mention, he talked trash about Chicago, and Akeem Hicks, defensive tackle for Chicago, said, "Oh, we can't wait for Aaron Rodgers to come to our house." He's like, because he's going to eat those words.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers, I think he's going to get shut down bad.
Now, if this were 3-4 years ago, I'd tell you you're crazy. But Aaron Rodgers this year has not looked like Aaron Rodgers. Now, I will say they went out after the mix-up there in that organization. They went out and had a good game last week. But I still don't think he's the same. And that Bears defense is the truth, man. Like, they shut quarterbacks down.
I don't think it's going to be close.
No, and here's the thing: the whole
And I don't doubt you on that sit. Like, I think that's a decent sit because as long as you have somebody to put in there, But like, I would honestly pick up any of the guys that we mentioned, because most of those guys are probably going to be not Jared Goff, but Allen and Mayfield might be on the waiver. Like, I would pick them up before I'd play Aaron Rodgers this week.
Especially with, I think Aaron Jones is going to get shut down. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to get shut down. I really don't think that they might get a touchdown. And that's it. Like, it's going to be a bad day to be a Packer.
But you guys are you guys also taking into consideration the fact that I think it's either 9 or 13 straight games in Chicago that Aaron Rodgers has beat the Bears.
Really?
And the Bears are pissed off about that. Let's be honest. And that is an awesome defense.
Yeah.
You know,
it is,
and have Khalil Mack pissed off that, he's a part of a franchise that has at least a 9-game losing streak at home against one player.
Oh. Yeah, they're ready to go.
Yeah. they don't need any bulletin board, fodder. They got it right there.
That's right, yeah. All right, so my sit this week is going to be Jameis Winston. He's coming off of like 3 or 4 like really good games back to back. Kind of what we talked about with Aaron Rodgers. I think the first defense that you're sitting a quarterback against is the Bears. I think the second is Baltimore. Baltimore's got a really good defense this year. I just don't. I see Jameis Winston he's known to turn the ball over. Like, he does that a lot. He's always done it, even since college. I think it happens quite a few times against Baltimore this week. I think Jameis Winston is sittable this week.
Well, my sit is Lamar Jackson. And I'm a little biased. I'm a Ravens fan. But he's been hurt the last couple of weeks and come out the game. And Tampa Bay's defense front 7 is not bad. And I think they're going to keep the run down to a minimum when it comes to him. Because they got game film for the last 4 games now. They know what he likes to do, what he's good at. And when you put a new quarterback in there, it takes a while for teams to recognize their little twerks, the things that they're good at, the things that they like to do, and take that away from them. And I think that's what's going to happen this week.
I mean, it makes sense. You have Levante David there in the linebacker for Tampa Bay, and I've talked about him a lot this year because he is a very, very good linebacker. He's one of the top in the league. So Lamar Jackson, I mean, his throws have gotten better over the weeks, but he's still not an accurate thrower. The only thing that really opens up his throws is you have to try to play the spy. Mm-hmm. So I really think with having a fast linebacker like Levante David, Lamar Jackson could have an off week.
Yeah, and my thing with Lamar Jackson is I feel like his ceiling is 25 points.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's about as high as he's going to get you. Like, so I don't really think that he's a startable quarterback because, like I said, I feel like that's his ceiling. And now when I say 25 points, once again, this is in our format. This is 6 points per passing touchdown. You know, now Lamar Jackson in normal leagues where it's 4 points for passing touchdown is a little more valuable than other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But I don't see him doing. I don't see him doing enough to be a startable quarterback. I see him maybe like in just a run a prediction right now in our league. I'm expecting him to get about 17, 18 points.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was about to say 18. I think he's going to get about 18.
Yeah.
Okay. So to wrap up our sets, Mike, you had Jameis Winston. Dan, you had Lamar Jackson, and I had Aaron Rodgers. So out of those three guys, who are you going to sit?
Who would you start?
I mean,
is my question.
who are you going to start?
That's a tough one. I would probably start Aaron. That's hard to say. I would probably start Aaron Rodgers over these other two, just because he has a little more potential. I don't want to start any of them, honestly.
I would start Lamar Jackson over the other two.
Tampa Bay
Just
is the
because
weakest
it's just
defense
Tampa.
and everything. I could see now Lamar Jackson. I will say this about him: he's not going to get shut down this week. He's not going to put up anything less than 10 points. So I will say that in where Aaron Rodgers and Jameis Winston have the potential to do that this week because they're playing those dominant defenses.
Yeah, exactly. But the only bad thing about Lamar Jackson is this. You had Joe Flacco sitting back there. And granted, I know a lot of people give Joe Flacco a lot of crap. But before he got hurt, he was putting up very good numbers.
He was.
And if Lamar Jackson goes down, I mean, if you've watched any interviews, like I said, I'm a Baltimore fan. Flacco is pissed off. And he's going to go in there and he's going to light it up if he gets in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So for running backs, let's do these starts at running backs.
You want to go ahead and take this one, Danny?
Yeah, I got Kenneth Dixon because I think he's going to have a good game for the facts that I said Lamar Jackson's not going to have a good game. Because, see, now defenses have to game plan. They're going to spy with their best linebacker, Lamar Jackson. That's going to leave everybody else to try to stop Kenneth Dixon. And last week was his first, I would say, the first real game back. He played the week prior, but he didn't get as many snaps. And from watching and reading what they're going on in Baltimore, they're pretty much saying he's going to get all the workload, most of the workload anyways. And I think he's averaging good numbers per carry. And he put up good numbers last week for a limited amount of snaps he got. And, John Harbaugh was really impressed with him, the way he's come back. And he was a good runner. He's the second leading touchdown scorer in NCAA history.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I remember he had I didn't know what the stat was, but I remember he had a big stat coming out of college.
96. You know who was 97? You'll never guess it.
When about what time frame was it?
Same year they came out, they got drafted the same time.
Oh, it was it Charkandrick West or
Nope.
It was somebody.
Let's put it this
obscure.
way. He went to one of the schools I love. And I wear the jersey every time
He
we
went
come
to
over.
Army.
No. Navy.
Maryland?
Navy.
Navy.
Oh, that's what I meant. My bad. Oh man, I did not mean to disrespect you like that. I meant to say Navy. I can't remember who.
Keenan Reynolds. He had
Keenan
97. And the Ravens drafted him in the 7th round. And he was option quarterback, but he could actually throw the ball too.
Yeah, because he played against Ohio State that one year, and they just Navy just ran the option to perfection, and that he's so fast and so he's good size too.
Yeah,
he was nice. Yeah,
and since he's left, actually Army's beat Navy every year since he's left.
Oh wow, yeah. All right, so my start this week is Chris Carson against San Francisco. They're at San Francisco. So 5 of the last 6 weeks, Chris Carson has scored over 10 points. And he's going in a favorable matchup against San Francisco this week. So 2 weeks ago, Chris Carson and Rashard Penny ran for 173 yards and a touchdown against San Francisco. Rashard Penny is out this week. I think Chris Carson gets majority. Mike Davis might get a little bit, but I think it's going to be the Chris Carson show. I think he can do over 100 yards and a touchdown this week.
I agree with you 100%, especially since I'm playing them against you.
Yeah. I didn't realize it until after like you showed up, and I was like, man, he's got Chris Carson. I almost changed it just because I can't do that to myself. But I do. I think he's going to have a big game this week.
Yeah. My starter running back is going to be Tariq Cohen. You know, they're gonna be going up early on the Packers, I think, and I think Tariq Cohen's going to, have a good situation in here. I think he's going to have a bigger game than Jordan Howard, and you could see that. They were on the goal line and they brought all the offensive linemen and defensive linemen in. There was no receivers, tight ends, running backs. It was all defense and offensive linemen and Mitchell Trubisky in the goal line stance. And that's usually where they put Tariq Cohen in so he could go for a quick out or quick toss. And that's where he usually gets his touchdown. So I really think that Jordan Howard's going to take a step back, and I think Tariq Cohen's going to flourish in this game.
Yeah, you've been big on Tariq Cohen all year, and totally worth it. Like I totally get why you have been. And how mad are Jordan Howard owners?
Yeah, because they took him before Tariq Cohen's and he's been better back.
Everybody did. I think the only person that wouldn't have could have been Tyler, because Tyler even said, I think that was your bold prediction, wasn't it?
I told, if they listen to this podcast, I've been saying it before the season even started, do not draft Jordan Howard, draft Tariq Cohen. Jordan Howard's going to go in the third round. You can get Tariq Cohen in the 7th.
Yeah. And, and that's...
I think Phil has him, and I'm playing against him.
Yeah, Phil does have him.
He picked him up because right before I was about to pick him up.
Yeah. All right, so go ahead.
Okay, so Mike, you had Chris Carson. Dan, you had Kenneth Dixon, and I had Tariq Cohen. So out of those three, who would you start?
I'd start, honestly, Chris Carson. I think he's more of the easier to put on that board.
Yeah.
You guys kind of went a little deeper than I did, but I think Chris Carson's clearly the number one on that one. But after that, I would probably go with Tariq Cohen and then Dixon.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think I really like Tariq Cohen, and I hate to say this because I'm playing against my arch nemesis in this league, but yeah,
I totally agree with your rankings too. So far, Mike, you really haven't gone above, the stat line. Like you picked Jared Goff and Chris Carson.
Yeah.
What's next, Antonio Brown?
My Jared Goff was more of let's just ease some people's minds from last week, and
I'm just messing with you, buddy.
I know it. And Chris Carson, like I said, I didn't realize how easy that one was until we got in here.
All right. Let's get on to these sits.
Yeah. I'll start on the sits here, and this is kind of like my reaction to Jared Goff last week. Is Kenyon Drake? Don't get out there thinking that he put up. I think that last play of the game ended up giving him like 16 points or something like that. But before that, he only had 24 yards rushing and 3 yards receiving, for a total of 2.7 points. And how many seconds were left on the clock before that play happened?
Like 7.
Yeah. So I don't trust Kenyon Drake to go out there against a tough matchup that they have this week. They're playing Minnesota, and they are very tough against the run. So I don't trust Kenyon Drake to go out there and hopefully get like a lucky play like he did last week. He's been kind of up and down. Like, he's had some solid games, and he's had some really bad games. So he's like, I was talking to somebody today. I was talking to Chris Scrolla. So shout out Chris. I was talking to him today, and he said that he is the true definition of boom or bust. And being in the playoffs, if you have a better option, I would definitely roll with that better option. Well, of course, you always want to roll with the better option, but if you have somebody that you're kind of up against, like, do I play Kenyon Drake or do I play this person? Go with that other person.
Yeah. My sit is going to be Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson's playing against Jacksonville, and I know a lot of people saw what Derrick Henry did to Jacksonville last week, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, that was a divisional matchup. They always play divisional matchups. They play hard, and they had a game plan for Marcus Mariota and Corey Davis and Deion Lewis. Here, they got a game plan for Josh Johnson and Mark Sanchez. They're laughing right now.
Yeah.
So I really think that they're about to. Their whole game plan is stopping the run game, stopping Adrian Peterson and anybody else that comes in their way. And I really could see that Adrian Peterson could lose people some weeks this week.
Yeah. I do not start Adrian Peterson. He is not like even a couple weeks ago when he had that 90-yard touchdown.
I think that was last week.
No, I think it was a week before. I think it was 2 weeks ago. But so even when that happened, he still didn't do anything else in that game. Like that's all that he had. I think other than that, he had like I can't remember the numbers. I know that you're looking it up right now, but he didn't have anything else in that game other than that 90-yard touchdown. So if you started him, like you got lucky that you got that 90-yard touchdown. He's not going to do that again. And the injury bug has hit Washington even harder. So it was 2 weeks ago. And how many total yards did he have that week? Did he break 100?
I don't know, but last week he had 10 carries for 16 yards.
Yeah, well, I agree with you on that. That's it. And it's funny, I'm looking at Yahoo, and their sits for that game, all of Washington.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like Washington, like I said, even after that game where he had the 90-yard touchdown,
he finished with 98 yards.
Yeah, so he only had 8 yards after that for the entire game. Like, yeah, one like if you're getting it on one carry, and he's not the type of guy this year who does that multiple games. Like that's it's a one-off. I'm not going for a one-off there.
Yeah.
Now, if he did that in 10 other games this year, yeah, I'd roll the dice and try to, hey, maybe he'll get me my 60-yard touchdown. But he hasn't done that this year. He's not anyone you can bank on, and that offensive line is tore up. That quarterback is atrocious. Like everything is bad there in Washington. Don't start Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. Danny, what you got?
I got Gus Edwards for the same reason why I said Kenneth Dixon should be your start. I know a couple weeks ago when he came in, a lot of people were high on him, getting him. At that time, yeah, he was good and he was running good. But now that you got Kenneth Dixon taking the lion's share of the carries away from you, according to the head coach, it's just going to hurt you. And he might bust one, but Kenneth Dixon's going to get most of the carries, so it's not going to be very good for him.
Yeah. So your sit was Adrian Peterson. Mine was
Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake. Sorry, I'm blanking. And then Gus Edwards. Who are you guys starting out of this?
Oh, this is a no-brainer for me. I would start Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake.
I actually think Kenyon Drake could have a good game. I don't agree with that sit, but we'll see.
Yeah. I just don't. I think the tough matchup and his boom or bust. I think it's going to be more of a bust this week.
I do agree that he is boom or bust, but I do think that he's going to be a little more boom than bust.
But see, and I know Kenyon Drake's been getting all the hype plays, but Frank Gore has been the workhorse. Frank Gore has been the guy pounding the ball, and when you have to run the ball against this defense they're going to be playing against Minnesota, Frank Gore is going to give you them tough 4 yards, and they're going to keep giving him the ball. I guarantee you Frank Gore has less, 0 carries, yardage carries than Kenyon Drake, and they're going to keep him in the game.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. The reason I say Kenyon Drake is because 2 weeks ago when they played the Colts, Frank Gore had a good game. I mean, he had a decent game, but the Colts and the Vikings defenses are kind of similar to the fact that they stop the run, but they have a hard time with passing down backs. Kenyon Drake's more of a passing down back than Frank Gore. That's the only reason. I think that he's going to finish with less yards per carry, but he's going to have more receiving yards.
Yeah, but with that case, I watched that game, and Frank Gore was the guy getting him down to the goal line. If you don't remember, he had, I think it was back-to-back plays. He busted 15 yards, got him to the goal line.
And I remember.
They took Drake. Yeah. I took him out and put Drake in because he was gassed, and he's an older player. But there's going to be times when he busts them yards, and like I said, against that physical defense.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, that's a good conversation that we had there. Like, I think you said you disagree with that. There's nothing wrong with that because, like you said, he's boom or bust. And I would rather go with someone a little more solid if you have it. Now, there's people out there that aren't going to have the option of sitting Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. But I feel like if you have Dalvin Cook, well, that's kind of obvious. But if James Conner is healthy this week, I feel like you start James Conner over him. And
I just don't want anybody that has, their number 2 running back right now, and their third running back's Jalen Samuels or somebody like that, like Naheem Hines, Jordan Wilkins, and you're going to sit them to play like Jalen Samuels. Don't do that. Like, Jalen Samuels is going to be, if James Conner's a go, like that whole situation playing against the Patriots already boom or bust. Like, I mean, the Patriots are going to game plan around whoever's in that backfield and Antonio Brown. So, Kenyon Drake, per matchup, you're going to play him. Don't just sit him for somebody that's just random.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't play Kenyon Drake over your set, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't play Kenyon Drake over Gus Edwards. I think I would probably go with Gus Edwards. Like, that's how far down the list I would go with that. I'm playing people like Doug Martin over him. I like Doug Martin this week, against Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Cincinnati's got a bad defense. That's mainly for the matchup. I'm playing Doug Martin over him. I'm playing Mark Ingram over him. I might even play Derrick Henry over Kenyon Drake this week. I just, keep an eye on it, check it out, but that's just how I feel about it. I don't think Kenyon Drake's going to have a good game this week.
Just got to agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
So Danny, who would you start out of these 3?
Me starting out of those 3, I probably would go the opposite of what you just said, Kinder. I probably would start Kenyon Drake over Gus Edwards, just because of what I'm hearing coming out of Baltimore.
Yeah. I don't like Gus Edwards either. I don't, but
I think Kenyon Drake's going to get more opportunities than Gus Edwards.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's going to. And here's the thing, like you said, boom or bust. If Frank Gore busts the run and gets to the goal line, what are they going to do? They're going to pull him out and put Kenyon Drake in.
Yep.
So if that happens, you're going to get those points.
Yeah.
But Gus Edwards is the complete opposite in that scheme. If he busts something, they're going to put Kenneth Dixon. He's a bigger, stronger back. And it's basically.
All right. On to our starts at wide receiver. I'm going to go ahead and start this off. A guy named Keith Kirkwood is my start at receiver. Other than last week, the past 2 games, he had gotten a touchdown those 2 games. And I really think with them playing the Carolina Panthers that he could have a big game. He plays out of the slot. The Panthers struggle in the slot. I mean, Keith Kirkwood could be that sleeper guy that you put in a flex that ends up giving you 12 points.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be comfortable picking up someone and starting them this late. Like, I feel like if this was like midway through the year, I would say, like pick him up and stash him. I don't know if I would have the confidence to pick someone like that up and start them. It would just be, I don't know. There's too much on the line for me to do that. Like, I would rather, I like we were talking about how like, there's no way that you would have played Mike Williams last night. Like, I think there's way more of a chance that you'd play someone like Mike Williams over somebody. And don't get me wrong, like, this guy can go out there and have a big game this week. But I just me personally, I wouldn't be comfortable starting him.
We're about to have a Jakeem Grant episode all over again.
No. Dude, it could be. But like, look at Kirkwood's points last week. Against a very favorable matchup in Tampa Bay, he only put up 2 points.
Well, that's because he had decent games, the 2 games before that where he got a touchdown in both of those games. So he was a little more game planned around. So I really think with him playing in the slot and the Panthers, if you are hurting at wide receiver and you don't like your matchups, Keith Kirkwood is a decent pickup and flex.
And I agree with you. He could be a decent pickup, but like I'm like Kinder, we're in the playoffs. Yeah. I'm not risking it. I'm not.
You got to risk it for the biscuit.
No, not
now. To be honest with you, if you're that desperate, like, I don't really see too many people that have made it to the playoffs this far being that desperate. But if you are that desperate, like, I like what's his name, Tim Patrick, for the two receivers there for Denver. I think it's Tim Patrick, and let me do some research on that real fast. But I like,
let's just say if you have Allen Robinson and T.Y. Hilton and those are your starting wide receivers, they're both questionable. They're both game time decisions. If they go ahead and it's like they're out at noon, you're looking to pick up 2 guys now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could be in that situation, and I'm not. That's what I'm saying. If I have a choice now, if he scores more than 5 points, I'm gonna kick myself in the butt for not starting him over Keenan Allen. But
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, I don't know if I'd risk it.
Yeah, it's not a bad pickup. Like I said, he's out there showing that he can do it. It's just in the middle of the season. I would say absolutely. At this point in the season, I don't know. I just don't have the confidence to pick someone like that up. I would rather like a Robbie Anderson or somebody
I hate
like
Robbie
that.
Anderson, but go ahead.
I understand, but like I would prefer him over Keith Kirkwood.
Okay, go ahead. What's your start at wide receiver?
My start this week is DJ Moore against New Orleans. Moore has had a solid run here towards the end of the season. He's getting 8 to 9 targets a game, and then just 8 to 9 targets against the Saints could equal a very big game. The Saints are one of the worst against receivers, so I think he can go out there and have a really big game this week.
All right, Danny, what you got?
I got Ty, and I know he's dealing with injuries, but he's going to play. I got all the confidence he's going to play because they're 8-6 now, or 7-6.
They're
tied with the Ravens. It's a tiebreaker.
7 wins.
Yeah, it's a tiebreaker for who's got the 6th spot. And those are the type of players I want on my team because they're not going to get to sit. If they're nicked up, dinged up, they're going to want to play because they want to make the playoffs. They want the extra game check, all those things that are involved in it. And I think he's going to go out there and play and have a really good game.
Okay. So, Mike, your start was DJ Moore. Dan, your start was T.Y. Hilton. My start with Keith Kirkwood. So, out of those 3 guys, I feel like you would probably start I'm just joking. T.Y. Hilton, if he's healthy.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton, if he's healthy, T.Y. Hilton's my favorite out of these 3. I think he has the biggest potential to put up the most points.
Yeah, most definitely. So, what do you think, Danny? I think you're probably going T.Y. as well.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. No, I like Moore because, honestly, I looked at Moore, but someone had already picked him up because even weeks prior, he'd been coming on and taking a lot. Well, the thing about Devin Funchess is pretty much gone because of him.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. So, on to the sits at wide receiver. Mike, you want to start this off?
Yeah, I'll take this one. I'm sitting Kenny Golladay at Buffalo. So Galladay's been struggling in the past couple weeks. So two weeks ago against the Rams, he had 8 targets. How many of those 8 targets do you think he caught?
2.
Very close. He caught 3. He caught 3 of 8 targets, and then last week he caught 2 of 4 targets. He's just been having like an off. He's not getting the 15 targets that he was 4 weeks ago. He's not getting that, so he's not really putting up the points. Like his points relied on his volume, and he's not getting that volume. And he's going against the Bills, and the Bills have a very tough defense against a wide receiver. I would sit Kenny Golladay this week.
Yeah, that makes sense. We called it when Marvin Jones got hurt that we were going to sit him, but he had a couple of very lucky touchdown catches. And I really think
in those games, he was getting 15 targets. His targets have been cut almost in half.
Yeah.
And then to only have 4 targets last week is absurd.
And most of those targets that he was getting with the 15, the 12, they were mostly all highly contested, catches.
Yeah.
So they've just kind of been going. I'm sure the coach is like, "Hey, we need you to throw to somebody else that doesn't have 3 guys on him."
Absolutely.
Dan, what's your sit?
Mine's Michael Gallup, and it's simple. He's not catching the ball. He caught 4 for 9 last week, and Amari Cooper is just taking the lion's shares of all the targets in that game. In that team, Amari Cooper. I mean, firsthand, Amari Cooper's the man there.
Yeah.
And
every other week, he's the man there.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time starting. Like I said, you get 9 targets and only catch 4 for like 25 yards.
Yeah.
And you got Amari Cooper like 30-some points.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I like Michael Gallup more than Amari Cooper. He's playing against the Colts. Amari Cooper is going to have the best corner and Malik Hooker shadowing him the whole game. That doesn't mean that Amari Cooper is not going to have a good game, because I really do think he is. But I think Michael Gallup could see a good amount of targets because he has proven that he could do something. I believe it was 2 weeks ago where he had a big game. So, and Amari Cooper didn't have that big of a game. So I see what you're saying, because I do agree. I think that Michael Gallup is a boomer bust, and I think he's slightly towards the bust. Mm-hmm. But Amari Cooper could take a step back, which make Michael Gallup, have a step forward, if that makes any sense.
So real fast, since week 7, he scored 16 points in week 7 against Washington. Michael Gallup has not scored. His best game since then has been 8 points against New Orleans. Other than that, it's a bunch of 3s, 5s, and 1s.
Was that 2 weeks ago?
Yes, that's 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I knew he was close to 10.
Yeah, and I don't really, since Amari Cooper's been there, like it has been his show, and I mean you could be right on that. I don't know, but I like Amari Cooper more than Gallup.
Oh, I do too. I said that Amari Cooper he's going to have a good game.
You said he's going to have a good game, but I don't know. I don't like Gallup a whole lot. But like you said, with them, he is a talented wide receiver, and if you do cover up the number 1 with Amari Cooper, that could leave him open. He could get some points. I like him as a sit this week.
I wouldn't have him as a flex. I would rather have somebody else. I would sit Michael Gallup. I'm not disputing that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying where I could see him.
Yeah, you could see. Okay, I see what you're saying.
And see, my thing is not the fact that he's the targets, because he's getting 9 targets a game.
Yeah,
but he's not catching them. He's not even catching at 50%.
Yeah,
come on.
He's close.
Yeah, yeah.
No, so my sit's going to be Corey Davis. And this is with Marcus Mariota just getting added to the injury report 50 minutes ago.
Wow, yeah.
And, Janoris Jenkins is going to be covering Corey Davis. And Janoris Jenkins showed in the past years, that he can shut down a wide receiver. I think Corey Davis is going to have a bad game, especially if Marcus Mariota is out. We have to pay more attention to that. So, but I think Corey Davis is going to have a really, really bad game. And this could be a Tajay Shark kind of game.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know what it is about Corey Davis that I don't like this week. I think it's just kind of like I got a hunch or something.
Yeah, like that gut feeling.
Yeah.
That's what I had when I was picking him.
Yeah. All right, so who all do we have on this one?
Well, Mike, you had Kenny Golladay. Dan, you had Michael Gallup, and I had Corey Davis. Out of these 3 people, who are you going to start?
Oh, man. To me, I think Gallup's last. And it would come between Corey Davis and Kenny Golladay. I think I like Corey Davis a little more than Golladay, just a little bit.
I do too.
If I were going to start one of them and I had to make that decision, I would probably start Corey Davis.
I think I'm the opposite right now.
Really?
Yeah.
You like Gallup more?
Yeah, I think Golladay more. Golladay more.
Yeah, Golladay.
Oh, okay.
Look.
Yeah.
Golladay.
Because Marcus Mariota has been extending plays with his feet, in order to get Corey Davis those yards and those balls.
Okay.
If he can't do that, and there's another quarterback in there who can't do the same thing he does, doesn't have the same skill set.
Yeah.
I don't like Kenny Golladay. I'm in the same boat with you, Mike. I just don't like Kenny Golladay because he's playing against the Bills, and the Bills have a stellar pass defense.
Yeah.
They're weak against the run.
Yeah.
And if Kerryon Johnson was available, I'd say start him. That would be my start of the week right there.
Yep.
But no, I just don't like don't like wide receivers against Buffalo.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, thanks for the wink.
Yeah.
So on to the starts at tight end. We don't have any sits at tight end, so we're just going to go ahead and do the starts.
And we haven't really had a sit at tight end all year, just because outside of your top 5. Your tight end, if your tight end puts up 5-6 points, you're happy.
I'm gonna go on a hunch here. I'm gonna sit Tyler Eifert.
Yeah.
And Janu Smith.
Hey, Stephen A. It's
yeah,
okay.
I saw that.
Tyler Eifert's not playing. But
he's not playing.
Who told everybody to start George Kittle's last week? Who on the podcast said that?
Somebody did, didn't
They
they?
did. I don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't know. I think
we
so.
I think we talk about George Kittle.
and
We try to stay away from those
Yeah.
guys. We try to get the guys that you're not
Yeah.
really kind of thinking about, the lower name people.
Yeah, of
because
course.
you better
If you-
start George Kittle.
If you have Gronk, you're starting him. If you have George
Yeah.
Kittle, you're starting him. Travis Kelce, you're starting him. They usually don't make, they don't make the podcast just because they're obvious.
Man, thanks for that shot, Dan. I felt that. You know what? Just because of that, I'm going to tell you to sit Zach Ertz because my start of the week's Dallas Goddard.
Oh wow! So why Goddard?
Man, they were using Goddard more in the tight end slot than they were using Zach Ertz. And Carson Wentz is on the injury report, and it doesn't look like he's going to play for the rest of the season.
Here's the
And
thing: if he does play the rest of the season, the Philadelphia Eagles don't care about him as a person.
No.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a
No.
broken back or something?
Yeah, he's got a broken vertebrae, and they literally said the only cure for this is rest.
That
Like-
should be like illegal or something.
Yeah, if they go ahead and throw him out there, they don't care about him as a person.
But, Nick Foles, he throws to the tight end a lot. Dallas Goddard was used more than Zach Ertz last week. And I think, Dallas Goddard got cheated. I'm not
yes, I
I'm not
agree.
going to talk about the refs because I sent enough money up to New York. Is that right, Mike Tomlin? So,
Yeah.
I really think Dallas Goddard is going to be used a lot more. And shout out Kevin Cannell because he told us this last time Danny Clark and Kevin were in here. He said Dallas Goddard's going to be the guy. And, I'm all aboard right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. He had a really good game last week, and he should have had more points. He was completely robbed because how do you call pass interference, offensive pass interference, or that's what it was?
Offensive pass interference.
5 yards off the line of scrimmage when all you did was swim move over top of him.
He didn't
to get
extend his
around.
hands.
Yeah, he never touched him really. I mean, it was just he might have grazed him.
He never extended his hands. So I don't like it. I don't like it.
And I'm not a Philly fan. I can't stand Philly for the most part, but he got robbed. He got robbed.
Yeah, I'm starting David Njoku this week against Denver. Denver's weak against the tight end. I think Njoku finds the end zone, if not twice. Maybe not a whole lot of yards. I'm thinking he catches like 5 or 6 balls, and definitely one of them's in the end zone. That's just my guess.
Like 30 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, maybe not 2 touchdowns. Maybe here's the thing.
Make it
Here's the
spicy.
thing. I think he finds the end zone, and if he has 1 yard, 1 touchdown, that's a startable tight end in this league this year. I don't know what it is about tight ends, but I think he'll get, 30, 40 yards and a touchdown, end up with 9, 10 points.
Yeah, I'm starting Vance McDonald. I think going against New England, they're going to try to game plan for the run game and try to keep AB from getting his hands on the ball, or Juju, whichever one they choose. They want to try to shut down, and that's going to leave the middle of the field for Vance to catch the ball and then probably run a couple people over and
Stiff arm
Yeah.
the soul out of people.
exactly. So that's the reason why I picked him.
Yeah, definitely.
I like it.
All right, so Mike, your start was David Njoku. Dan, your start was Vance McDonald. My start was Dallas Goddard. Out of those 3 people, who are you going to start?
I feel like I'm a little higher on Zach Ertz than you guys are, so I'm not going to start Dallas Goddard. I do like him as a talent. I think he's very talented. I think that he has the potential to do big things this week. But me personally, I like Vance McDonald too. But Vance McDonald is either going to get you a bunch of points or he's going to get you very little. So I think I would stick with Njoku because I think he's going to be a little more solid.
I love David Njoku. I said that
That's your
before
favorite.
before the season started. I was high on, and he hasn't lived up to the potential. And I've lost a bold prediction. I say he's going to finish as a top 3 tight end.
Yeah,
And
but he's been okay.
He's been
okay. All
okay.
year. Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor really kind of screwed that up in the beginning.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tyrod. But I think David Njoku's going to have a big game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always liked him also, but I just think that the problem with Dallas Goddard, I like him. I like him a lot, but the Zach Ertz thing. Let's be honest. David Njoku and Vance McDonald are the best tight ends on that team, hands down. Period. No questions asked.
Yeah.
So that's where mine would be in one of those 2 guys.
Yeah.
It's a toss up. It's whoever you can get.
Yeah.
You might be able to get I'm down on your league off of waivers, you might be able to get David Njoku. This depends. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, but normally you don't really question who to start at your tight end position. Like normally you have somebody and they're in there, and that's just the way it is. But this year's just been weird with tight ends. Like you have like your top 5, and then everybody else is like neck and neck at doing just garbage. So, but yeah. So you guys got anything else you want to talk about?
No,
Danny, you want to get your trash talking over on air? I know you had a lot to say this morning and yesterday. So
well, yesterday my trash talking was a little bit different. I was telling you how I was going to kick your tail and do all those things, and the day I was a little bit, in my feelings. I think it was more because the butt whip I'm getting ready to take from Phil that had me in my feelings. I still got a good shot against you.
Yeah. I think we're still. That's anybody's game. I'm hoping I don't know if I have anybody. Oh yeah, just a reminder. There are 2 games on Saturday, so be aware that you need to set your lineup on Saturday. It's not a Sunday lineup this week, so hopefully that's something we should have opened the podcast with. But yeah, don't forget that there are 2 games on Saturday. Set your lineup on Saturday. We'll tweet that out there and everything.
I'm gonna give you a bold prediction right now for your league right now, Kender.
What's that?
The number 1 and the number 2 guy are going to lose this week. It's going to be the number 3 and number 5 guy.
Yeah. So you think it's going to
And I think the number 5 guy is going to win.
Who's that, Phil?
No,
It's going to be my dad.
His dad.
I have a gut feeling. I think it's going to become between Phil and my dad, and Phil has shown that he doesn't have the greatest games in championships. I mean, he won last year because we both didn't have great games. So I think it's going to be a big week.
Yep.
Well, see, that's a possibility because, like I said, I'm getting beat right now. Phil's beating me and he hasn't even scored a point yet. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I
But-
agree with that.
I'm going to make a prediction. The number 6 seed in Kevin's league is going to win it all. That's my prediction.
Get out of here.
I like that. So
Whatever, dude. I
Dude,
need to
I'm
win
on a
that. I haven't won that
6-game
league
winning
in
streak.
I haven't won that league in 4 years. It's time for me. I'm due.
No, I'm due because I lost by less than half a point 2 years ago.
Yeah. I'm due because, like I said, I need championships to make me happy, and I haven't had that championship.
But like
in
I
4
said,
years.
Well, that's
I'm
good.
on
I'm gonna
like
tell-
I'm on a 6-game winning streak. Okay, Kinder?
that's good to know. I'm going to tell Logan when he gets a little older I'm going to let him just re-listen to this podcast.
That's okay because I'll get to play him in basketball, and I'll just stuff it right in his face. So that'll make me feel good. I'll feel like a champion. then.
How will you feel good? You're like 6'6".
Hey, I honestly
Let's get
twice
this
a
right.
week. Twice a week, I go to the local gym and I play pickup basketball against 6-year-olds, and I feel like the best basketball player in the world.
Well, you take up the whole paint. Let's be honest. They can't get within 10 feet of the rim if you're underneath of it.
Kender is 6'9", about 24 foot wide. So, no, but while we're talking about this, isn't it true? Shout out Brian Shalamian that we're gonna have some kind of special podcast on a Tuesday.
We may. Phil was talking about it, so we'll see. We'll see if it goes through and it's true. But I'd like to. I hope we do a little
I might end up
college football bowl talk.
I might end up having to take a seat and letting a guy like Danny Clark come in here and
Somebody that knows
throw
college
some
football.
college football knowledge on y'all.
Yeah.
Well, I just got a special sit out there for Phil. He needs to sit Big Ben.
Big Ben.
Yeah,
Sit Ben Roethlisberger this
sit-
week.
Sit him. Just sit him.
As in the words of Phil, sit them both.
Sit them both. Well, all right. We appreciate y'all listening. If you listen this far, hopefully we've helped some people make it this far in the playoffs. Hopefully, if you're listening to us, you make it through the playoffs and you win the championship. But we appreciate all the love and support. Tune in on Sunday when we go live.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. It's always been fun every time I come here.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for coming, and guys, let's sling it to Sunday.
Swing it to Sunday.
I guess Saturday because we got games on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Absolutely.
Sling it to Saturday.
All right.